Welcome to a fresh episode of Plowtalk, the official podcast of Bain Welker Equipment, where we dig up practical wisdom in the field of experience, talking about all things ag, some things business, and a few things we can't predict. I'm your host, Matthew Bain. We are brought to you by Ag Crazy. Go to agcrazy.com to find out more about all the parts you could ever need. We're produced by Blue Marketing. Go to thinkbluemarketing.com. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're listening. Thank you for joining us for episode 42 here. I am joined by the two usual gentlemen, my dad, Phil Bain. How are you this morning?
Okay.
Doing well. And my brother, Jason Bain. How are you, sir?
Doing good.
Very good. And today we have a guest who you have heard from before, especially if you've listened to episode 40 about a statue being put in his bed that he had to deal with one night after working long hours. Matt Austin, how are you, sir?
Good.
Very good. So what we wanted to do was take the opportunity here in December, now that the majority of, I think I can safely say that, the majority of folks out there are pretty well done with harvest or wrapping up at least. And we wanted to talk about service, servicing your equipment after a harvest. There's always different things that go on each harvest, different circumstances and all that good stuff. But we nonetheless are always here to service no matter what the problem, no matter what the issue. And so we brought Matt Austin, who is the overall service manager. Is that right, Matt? Over the Bain complex?
Yep.
To talk about that and talk about some of the opportunities, deals that we have going on. So let's just start off with talking about, we've talked about service before. It was back actually before planting season, I think, even started. Have we done anything since then?
I thought we did it a couple times.
We talked about demos and
Luke.
We
Was
brought in
Luke,
and Curtis, right? We brought in Curtis as well. So we've talked about it before, but let's just go ahead and Jason, if you could give us, or Matt, whoever wants to jump in here, the importance of servicing your equipment, for instance, sooner rather than later, say after a planting season, after a harvest season. We're, of course, in the fall, so after harvest, you can speak to that if you'd like, any of you gentlemen.
Oh, I think it's important to do it as soon as you get out of the field in any aspect, just so everything's fresh in your mind of anything that you've ran and had trouble with and put off just to get done, so you don't forget about it and put it in the shed, and then you got to remember all that come 6 months later when you actually pull it back out to do something with it again.
Exactly. Yep. So having that fresh memory of what may have gone wrong or what needs a little maintenance or whatever else. Any thoughts there, Jason?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit last week about the fact that it's a full-time business anymore. It's not as seasonal as what it used to be, several years ago. So, I made mention last week that we'd be less than 120 days from putting corn back in the ground now. I think I said 120 days last week, so it comes around pretty fast.
Yeah, it does.
And in this industry, we tend to procrastinate and put things off till we just have to do it. It's just always kind of been the nature of agriculture in general, I think. So I think along those lines with what Matt said, while it's fresh on your mind, get scheduled up, with your local Bain Welker dealership and start to address some of those issues that were pain points for you throughout the fall. And, if you hadn't already done things for spring, might want to start thinking about that because, like I said, 120 days from now, it'll be a different world out there.
It's not too many days.
It's not very many days.
Any thoughts there, Dad?
No, I just concur with what Matt and Jason are talking about. Now's the time to do it. You just used to be years ago, people pull their combine out in July or August and want us to maybe go through it, and we just physically can't do all the machines that are in our trade area right now in a 2-month period of time. So we have to stretch it out, and we offer programs to help with. Matt will probably talk about this later, but we try to stretch out interest payments or that sort of thing to make it less of a burden on the farmer, so that he can go ahead and do the work, but it's not incurring any interest charges or
kind of cash flow. Dang near it'll fall.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead and go into that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, if with this bonus buck, our inspection program, you can kind of do, which I guess I'll just kind of start off with the program, what we got going now for inspections. This includes anything from combines all the way down to planters. If you sign up from starting November 15th through December 31st, you're not going to get any trip charge for on-the-farm inspections, which is usually about $85 just for a standard trip charge. And then if you complete all the repairs with us, doesn't mean they have to be completed by December 31st, just as long as you sign up, but then you finish all the work, no trip charges on that machine we inspected for the entire season that machine is running in. So if you do a tractor or planter, we got to come out in April or May and do something to it. You're not going to get a trip charge. Same goes with your combine. That's the whole season. But the work has to be done, and then we're extend on that after that, kind of incentivize everybody to kind of do it early. But then that rolls into January 1st to February 15th. We're going to continue on-farm trip charge to get out and do the inspection. So if you have a lot of work to do and you commit to that work and it is a big bill, you can, if you have a CNH Productivity Plus card, and if you don't, you can sign up. We can help you get signed up, and you get a no interest with pay through September of 2020. So nice. Pretty much you can get all your work done this winter and just you can make a $10 payment on it and still no interest incurred to you, cleared out till September. So makes it pretty nice to cash flow through the rest of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Jason, any thoughts along those lines of that program? That was bonus bucks, did you say, or which one is that?
Yep, bonus bucks, our inspection program.
Well, I think just to reiterate, that program in some form has been around for many, many years. I think Matt's done a good job refining it this year, and there's some, I guess, new caveats to it here this year that guys probably ought to look at and put a pencil to and take a little more seriously maybe than what they had in the past.
Yeah.
So
what along the lines of getting guys in earlier, we mentioned last episode with you and Dad about when we're bringing on, say, a new customer, and we have to think of how many guys do we have available to work on their machinery. There's a lot that goes into, bringing on new customers. So the same thing would apply to servicing, right? So if you're not getting in soon enough, it may be pretty backed up, is my guess. If guys all try to come in at the same time because, oh no, it's planting season, or oh crap, it's harvest again, and I haven't done what I should have done, So how does that affect Bain Welker in regards of getting the customers serviced if they're not taking advantage of this kind of down season or downtime?
It makes it very challenging. As we all know, the hiring new techs and keeping good techs and acquiring those skilled techs that are actually that the customer, wants to work on that machine.
Yeah.
It gets down into August and those technicians are just wrung out, and they've already been working overtime probably that whole entire month already. And if you wait till the last minute, we don't want to push back, but we push it in, and it just puts a lot of strain on the service manager and the technicians to get that done. So it's a big juggling act, and it gets kind of difficult when you wait till the last minute. But.
Yeah, it's for sure better when you have fresh guys, right? When they're fresh and it's kind of a down season.
I think this is something that we ought to talk about a little more in depth, really.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think I mentioned it on one of your other podcasts that, as equipment dealers, whether it's Bain Welker or other equipment dealers or just retailers in agriculture in general, you could pick the seed and fertilizer business as well. We try to do a good job staying current and as educated as we can on the challenges that our customers are facing, that farmers are facing. We really try to do a good job with that. And I think where we miss it is we don't do a good job educating our customers on exactly some of the things that Matt just hit on.
Yeah.
And that's, technician retention and the fact that service is the backbone of any ag equipment dealership that is run well.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned in one episode the reference to almost like a doctor, right?
Yeah.
That these guys are that valuable. And the pressure I think that our technicians feel from our customers, and then they get pressure from us too, is a challenge for us to manage today, especially with an employment rate that's really low, and with technicians being in high demand in not only ag but construction as well.
Yeah.
So they can almost set their rate and go anywhere they want to go. So that quality of life that a technician deserves is challenging for us as an equipment dealer to satisfy. And some of that comes back to how can we better educate our customers the way that we try to educate ourselves on what our customers are dealing with in regards to just this one basic thing, which is the pressure that technicians are under. And Matt could probably elaborate a little bit more, but I think it's an opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and Matt, you can jump in. I'll just say this, that the one, I'm sure, perspective that's hard to get if you're on the farmer side of things is the technician has 20, 30 other farms that are demanding them as well.
Sure.
So your problem that day, we absolutely care about. We absolutely want to get it fixed as soon as possible, but you may not be the only one having a problem, right? So that technician, especially in the on seasons of, harvest, say, I'm sure guys, like you were saying, are spread pretty thin. So
yeah, it's when you're sitting in the seat as service manager and those calls come in and it's a Saturday or a Sunday or, at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock on a Monday night or a Tuesday night. And, that technician's worked all weekend and customer calls and he's down and this guy's the one that needs to go. And it's a struggle to pick the phone up and call the technician to send him back out. Cause he's just exhausted and he wants a break and wants to see his family too. But, we continue to do it and cause we want to serve the customer. We know there's only so many good days in the year to either get the crop in the ground or get the crop out. So it's a big struggle. And like you said, I think probably a lot of them don't realize that. And like you said, there's more than just them out there. There's that technician's probably been to 30 or 40 people in one day. And then you're asking him to go back out either on a Sunday afternoon or late at night. But
and then you may have a technician who has to again, drag a 200-pound statue out of his bed and stuff like that on a weekend. May have anti-seize on him and stuff like that. So, Dad, any thoughts along those lines?
I just was sitting here thinking as Jason and Matt were talking, it's really somewhat of a partnership between us and the customer. It should never be an adversarial position on either side of the equation. We're both in this to feed our families. We understand the farmers need to make some money, and hopefully they understand we need to make some money as well to stay in business. So this season is a great opportunity to capitalize on that partnership. It helps us out, keeping our guys busy, and it helps them out by maintaining their equipment. The Bonus Bucks program came about because of, just a lack of care for some equipment at one of the stores that we owned. And back at the time, I thought, if you guys spend a little money every year on this machine, when you turn around and want to trade it back in, instead of it being worth this much money, it could be worth this much more money.
Right.
Nobody likes to buy a piece of junk, so to speak.
Yep.
So if you keep it up, keep it maintained, it has value for the next guy that's going to buy it. So that was the whole idea behind the Bonus Bucks program to begin with. And it is a partnership. We intend to hold up our end of the bargain. And, if the farmer will participate and spend the money necessary on it to, as recommended by the technician. And that's not to say we can't talk about it. When they're given an estimate, if there's a conflict or, a particular part on there that they think, well, that thing will run a couple more years like this, at least we can have the discussion and say, well, we can do X instead of Y maybe. Or, so it's all about conversation, about partnerships, about trust in one another. And that's what we're here to do, is to serve the public to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I think that's were you going to say something?
I think there's success stories behind that. I mean, I just know this year, as a matter of fact, I know last year was, it was a terrible fall. It drug forever, a lot of down corn across the country. And there was guys that, every single day, I know we had technicians on the farm every day of a lot of farms. And I think some of them farms capitalized, or didn't capitalize, I guess, but took the opportunity to invest in this inspection program and actually do repairs over the winter and over the summer after last fall, and did everything that, the technician service manager suggested. and I've heard from them. I think some of them machines went out and they wouldn't even never touched, and that's pretty large acre farms. And I mean, that bought them in right then that, if we can guarantee to do everything that we suggest and go out there, you can go and run and actually, be done. Whereas last year, you may not have been done till February, and this year they were done, some of them by Halloween and November. And that's 10, 12,000 acre farms. And
that's a big deal.
So I think that's pretty beneficial that they bought into it and had no service calls, so to say. So.
Yeah.
Well, if they can get the crop out of the field in a timely fashion, that means they can apply their nitrogen or whatever else they're going to do that fall and get their groundwork. So it really puts everybody ahead of the game and opens up opportunities for increased yields and everything else. It just all works together.
They can enjoy a good Thanksgiving turkey as well.
Yeah. I think to add confidence to how important these programs are and how much work is done behind the scenes to put these programs together. It's not something that Matt just dreams up overnight and you just put it together. There's a lot of data and things that we crunch and do behind the scenes to prepare and put together a program that's going to truly benefit the customer. And I guess when we talk about confidence, when Matt's putting programs together and he's waiving trip charges and things, he's looking also at the training aspect. So we're putting together a very robust training program as Bain Welker behind the scenes for our technicians in the off season here. I say off season, but it's throughout the year actually, to support these types of inspections, to have the right guys on the inspections, to have the right guys in the field that are trained to be able to take care of the problems quicker. So there's, just a lot that goes in behind the scenes. And then there's the technology piece. I know Matt's investing in a lot of technology behind the scenes to help make our service department more efficient, make our technicians more efficient, to where we can respond quicker when there is downtime, to where we can do inspections more efficiently, whether they're in the shop or on the farm. So I think it's important for the audience that listens, to these Plowtalk episodes to understand that there's a lot that goes into this, and that we're developing a lot of things behind the scenes to support something that seems so simple as a bonus bucks inspection program.
Yeah.
So
that's a pretty big point actually, because you don't think too often if you're a consumer or somebody that needs the service of something. At least I don't think too much of who developed that program.
Mm-hmm.
Say you go to a car dealership or something, like, why is this program the way it is? You never really think of that behind the scenes stuff. Somebody had to think of it, and somebody had to crunch the numbers, like you're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it than what folks probably realize, and it truly is a benefit. We're trying to do the right thing to support our customer base and do a better job with our customer base. And I just think it's important for them to understand more of that. Yeah. As we grow and as we continue to evolve as Bain Welker.
Yeah. And how much Matt, how much coordination has to go into working with the parts department and stuff like that for the service department? I know we've probably touched that before, but
it's hourly.
Yeah.
You got to plan. If you have a big job, those guys have to be strategic in scheduling when they're doing a machine or anything else. They're inspecting it, and they've got to, they may have 10 machines lined up, and they've got to plan with the parts department on how those orders because we need to benefit on taking orders too for the customer on the freight side of it. So you got to order, know how many days ahead to order so the machine gets done. You don't want to just order everything and have it sit in the shop. And I mean, those parts guys do a lot to help organize and where to stage stuff. So it's hourly, if not every half hour. Those guys are working together on planning parts orders and where they need to go and everything else. So it's a big team to get it all done the right way and be efficient as you're going, so nobody's incurring any unnecessary cost.
Yeah, and that's kind of another area, right, as well, where it helps so much if the customer comes sooner rather than later, right, to be able to get on board with that parts ordering and stuff like that. Because we have an episode, I think it's like probably episode I want to say 9 or 11 or 12 or something like that. We had Coy Patton, our one of the overall parts managers, on here, but talking about like the kind of forecasting almost is what it sounds like. Like you guys are having to order parts very early compared to when you're actually going to get them and be able to use them. It's not like Amazon. We live in an Amazon world, right, where I can order this, and if I've got Prime, it's 2 days, but that's not the case for a lot of these parts, right?
Right. Yep.
So,
yeah, it really follows the same principle as, folks buying new machinery. It's a lot of folks are buying them 6 months ahead of time, and really it's the same philosophy on the parts side. So, Coy Patton, our director of parts, he'll start preparing for fall parts orders in March of 2020.
Yep.
And we've not even gotten the crop in the ground. So yeah, it's there's a lot of strategy and a lot of forecasting and a lot that goes into it to try to have the right things. And then you've always got model changes, right?
Yeah.
Your manufacturers throw you a lot of curveballs along the way that you've got to be able to adjust and be nimble and try to service. So.
Yeah.
Well, not only do you have the harvesting aspect, but you also have various vendors. I see you've got a meter inspection program there, which touches not only on the Case IH side, but probably on the Kinsey side. I haven't read the thing for sure, but we do sell Kinsey as well as, and then we sell Kubota. So that each of these companies have their own individual programs and offerings that they offer us as a dealer. So I know down at Terre Haute they have a big push on lawn and garden, on inspecting, the zero-turn mowers. A lot of commercial mowing takes place down there, and the people capitalize on that as well. So it's not just the ag sector, which is the biggest part to us. I'm not trying to underplay it by any means, but there's also these other vendors that we deal with.
Yeah,
I wanted to point out.
Yeah, definitely. How about Red Zone Award or rewards? Red Zone rewards.
Yep.
You want to jump into that?
Yeah, you can get when you do your inspections, you get a chance to choose your reward there, whether you want the coupon that goes towards your trade, or you can get up to 300,000 Red Zone points. When you do that, just for doing the inspections, that's not completing all the work. So once you complete all the work and labor and parts go to that, and you're also picking up points on that on the back to turn around and if you do it right, you can about use most of your points off the inspection to do the repairs on. So
yeah, can you distinguish the two? Because that's one thing that so mainly that's kind of looking toward trades, is that right? Or is the Red Zone just for somebody that I'm not as aware of the distinction between the two, so between bonus bucks and Red Zone?
Red Zone applies to everybody. So if you come in and buy a can of starting fluid, you're going to get points for the Red Zone rewards program, which you can turn around and apply on future purchases. So kind of like Southwest Airlines. When I go someplace, I usually fly Southwest because I've got a Southwest credit card, and every dollar I spend on that, I get something back. So eventually I get a free trip someplace, and I capitalize on that. So we want our customers coming back to us for their parts, service, whole goods business, and it's a way of incentivizing them to come back.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think right now everybody's aware of those types of systems. I mean, we've been ordering Christmas online, and every single retailer has a point system.
Right.
I guess I've not found one yet that doesn't. You obviously got to sign up for it and then have to continue to use it. So
Macy's and Kohl's hits my wife's mailbox about every other day, it seems like.
Probably every day.
All kinds of boxes showing up every day, don't you, Phil?
Yeah, exactly.
But there have been some, stories with Red Zone, to Matt's point, to where guys have accumulated enough Red Zone points that it's paid for an entire repair bill.
Yeah.
I mean,
huge.
It's real. It's real money.
Right.
We've had guys in the past that have purchased a lawnmower with it.
Yeah.
So it's real money.
I mean, I use it. I accumulate buying parts for my little tinker farm, and I got a feeding tractor that needed some hydraulic work done to it, and I had Luke have his guys do it, and Luke's Johnny on the spot with that too when he's ready to close the bill. Hey, you got Red Zone, you want to use it? And it helps because I'm looking at the bill because I go in and look at my own ticket.
Yeah.
And see where I'm at. Like, good grief, that's high. And thinking just like every other farmer. But, and then he gets it down to like, oh, that ain't so bad.
Yeah.
So it is rewarding when you got them built up. Like, oh, I didn't get hurt near as bad as what I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Plus, you're accumulating those. So, like, if you use your red zone rewards for a large ticket item in the shop, you're also accumulating more.
Yeah, you're getting more as you close it.
Yeah, so
for sure.
So it's a good program. It's probably underutilized.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming more recognized, but it really is a good program.
Yeah, save money where you can, and it's a big deal.
But I think you hit on something. I'm not sure we answered your question, like on the bonus bucks. So there's two ways of using the bonus bucks. You can choose to use red zone, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Or you can take a coupon toward your next purchase of a newer used unit in the future.
Up to $1,500, on a sprayer, combine, or tractor.
Yeah.
But there's some guys that don't trade every 3-4 years, or they have a combine or a tractor they know they're just never going to trade and just keep fixing it.
Yeah.
They're going to take the red zone points. But a guy that's maybe trading every 2, 3, 4 years, he'll probably take the coupon because they keep accumulating. I mean, he get $4,000 or $5,000 off his trade when he goes to trade here in 3 or 4 years.
It's a reward for maintaining your equipment, basically, right?
He
And
knows
being
what
done
he's got.
in-house, so we know that we actually get to know that unit.
Right.
We have a history of it, so we can look at it and say, okay, this is what's been done to it, and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, he would be getting some value back through that as well.
Yeah.
So a machine that's been routinely gone through using this program versus a machine that's never been through our shop or anybody else's shop, the machine that's gone through the program is going to be worth more.
Yeah,
the value is going to be higher.
Yeah.
So.
And is there a kind of legacy aspect to it as well, where older equipment, if I recall, is there anything on that where
more
there's incentive for the
points for 99 and older now? I think the year keeps changing.
Gotcha. Yeah, as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
I had something else I was wanting to bring up, and I totally lost my. Oh yeah. So could you also walk us through specifically to harvest now? What are some key things that guys need to be looking at? Maybe nothing huge, broke down or anything like that during the season, hopefully. But what are just some simple maintenance things that they should be bringing their equipment in, or getting somebody to go out to their farm to look at?
No, I think it's all your high wear items. I think as far as combines go, anything throughout your feeder house on up into your transition cones and your rasp bar wear and auger wear, a lot of auger wear that guys I don't think really look at to see any type of flighting issues probably. I mean, start to wear, that product has gotten better over time. There's more extended wear, so it's usually lasting longer, but stuff like that. And I think a lot of it's probably almost just cleaning a machine off. I guess I'm big on that before you just put it in the shed. If you don't, you're going to incur more rodent damage if you're not cleaning a machine off at the end of the year and just instead of just driving it in the shop straight when you pull out the cornfield.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to either coons are going to be getting in the rodent compartment, or you're going to have mice or rat damage in the cab because no matter how tight you can get it, that mouse can always get in that cab one way or another. So I think it's important to just clean the machine off is the biggest thing. I look at it, if you're not going to do anything at all, at least clean it off before you put it in the shed.
For sure.
Yeah, there's so much more wiring now too, right? With all the technology that's been implemented into it, and so that cleaning aspect.
And even the heads need to be looked at, especially this year. We had quite a bit of wind here late in the harvest, and there was some down corn that I'm sure some of the corn heads took somewhat of a beating with.
Yeah, dirt.
With that.
And
right.
That's the hardest thing on a machine.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anything, again, like you said, Jason, it's whether we like it or not, it is just about 120 days out until guys start getting back out. Is there something that they could be doing right now, doing the usual of getting their planter, worked on as well while they're at it, or anything like that you would encourage?
Yeah, I think
why don't you expand on the meter program that you've got there?
Yeah, we typically do a special on meters anyway throughout the winter. We run any meter, it doesn't matter. We can run John Deere's, VSETs, Precision, Kinsey, ASM meters, $25 a row. Right now, though, CNH has come out with kind of a program, the Meter Max inspection, which the Meter Max is the precision stand, and that's why we can run any meter out there. And they're actually offering a rebate, 10% back. So we can actually you can get red zone points with it, and do that. And the key part of it is you can get 10% off dang near all your ground engaging parts for your Case IH planters. So if you run your meter max, you bring your meters in and run them, we can offer you a 10% instant rebate back on all your disc openers, chains, closing disc bearings, and all your meter components.
Gotcha.
So it's a pretty good deal right now. I mean, it ends December 31st. So once again, you just need to sign up for it and have your meters ran. We send the rebate off, and whatever you kind of got to order your parts at that time, and they offer low financing to 2.99 for 36 months. So you can have your whole planter rebuilt, and we can get on it now and offer all that. So it's a pretty nice deal. You know, get your planter inspected for $349, get the bonus bucks, red zone, and then you can get an instant 15% off any of them parts I just mentioned to rebuild.
Watch those
your
numbers
planter.
go down like you were talking about.
I think the other thing on the meters, and I don't mean any disrespect toward seed companies or anyone else out there that runs meters, but generally when you have planter issues, you're usually going to call your dealership. And we're going to have to go out in the spring and try to figure out what those issues are. Could be meter related, could be ground engaging, could be electrical, hydraulic, any number of things. But if you're going to be calling us anyways, wouldn't it make sense to just go ahead and have us run the meters as well, so that in the event there is an issue, you're not having to call both of us.
Right. Yeah.
We get into this a lot of times where it's kind of that he said, she said,
Gotcha.
And it's not my fault. It's got to be, it's got to be whatever they did to it,
Yeah.
And it just causes a lot of issue, causes a lot of downtime, unnecessary downtime. Yeah. So like I say, I'm not trying to put down anyone out there that runs meters, because I think there's a lot of people that do a great job with them. My point is, give us the opportunity to run them, and then, hold us accountable to that. If there are issues, we'll take care of it. And that way you just have one person to call. You have one.
It helps to have the principle of like what we talked about earlier with the trading in a unit with like bonus bucks. If we have a history of working with your equipment, that's just substantial. Right?
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
it really does. So, and I'm very confident that our AFS team can run meters as well as anybody out there. Yeah. So.
Very good. Any closing thoughts here about whether it's the programs or anything else? I thought. By the way, I've spoke with the fire department chief here in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and you made me think, with these technicians being out as much as they are, they're probably honestly doing more runs in those seasons than a lot of fire departments are with their ambulances and fire trucks and all that. There's 3,000, I think he said, in a year calls on average. And if you take all the technicians and, in Bain Welker and think of all the calls that they have to make, even just one would be good. But again, not to say that it's life or death if a technician goes out, but so we don't want to take the analogy too far with comparing to like an EMT or a fire truck or anything, but nonetheless, that's kind of
I'd never thought of it that way.
It's kind of the way they're working, right?
We'll take 63 times 2/3, and you count that times every spring and fall for every 2 months, and those guys are about every single day on them. And hey, like I said, 20 calls a day probably. So
yeah, that's what you made me think of, Matt, because you said something like they may have already seen 30 or 40 other farms in that day, not the week in that day. So that's substantial. So anyway, I think we could do a better job as the implement side of things and service side of things to just make people aware of that, hopefully it would resonate with guys out there.
I think that's what's pretty neat and important about what we've been doing with Plowtalk is, gives everybody an opportunity to see that side of things. Maybe they didn't quite know so much about, or gives them an opportunity to learn more about, what affects us and what challenges, I guess, we face as equipment dealers, and challenges our technicians and service managers and parts people face too. Yep. So
I think it's an evolving business as well. We're more mobile than we used to be. Used to drive your machine in, a 10-mile trip, no big deal. Just hop on the county road and bring it into Bain Welker and get it fixed. But I mean, we're servicing customers now 60, 70, 80 miles away, and we've invested a lot of money in service trucks and and people, and trying to maintain the high service levels that the customers expect. And I don't want to underplay the fact that we're willing to go out to your farm and do these inspections and do the even repairs on their location. I'm assuming. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn.
I think most cases the service manager would love to be out on the, have the technician out on the farm. I mean, it's a little work to get the parts out there, but in most cases, we would typically, we're more than happy to come out to your farm and do it there. I mean, that's a good relationship building anyway, in my opinion, to be out there and working with those guys. So absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's probably also, you talk about programs. Something we're going to try next week that we've never done before with parts and service is we're pulling some service managers and parts managers together to sit down, and we're going to try to make some phone calls to customers and try to go ahead and get some work pre-scheduled, right, Matt?
Yep.
And so more to come on that. It's the first time we've ever tried it. We kind of, on the whole good side, call them blitz type meetings where we get whole good sales guys together and call customers with deals on equipment. And this time we're going to try it on the parts and service side and try to get customers energized and planning a little bit further ahead, like we've talked here in the Plowtalk episode, to go ahead and schedule inspections and let's start booking things and planning ahead here a little bit. So I think that's Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, Wednesday. I think it speaks to that too. I think a lot of, customers get mail and we get these flyers. Some don't have social media, and I don't in general. And you get flyers and you get so much junk mail, you just throw stuff away. So I think it's a pretty good idea. These guys, we sit them down, they call the customers. A lot of these guys may not know some of these programs, and we want them to be taking benefit of it too. So
for sure,
get it in front of them.
Helps everybody all around.
Yeah, so something new to look for next week.
Yeah, or this week when they're listening to it, because it'll drop
True.
Monday.
Yeah,
so
it'll drop Monday.
When you're listening, it's if you've listened to close to the release date, then it's this week.
Yeah,
so.
you might be hearing from one of our parts or service managers, I guess, on Wednesday.
Yeah, very good. Well, if there's no other comments to the programs or anything like that, do go ahead and check out bain-welker.com if you want to start the conversation sooner than somebody calling you. You can give us a call, or you can come into the store that's nearest to you, and we'd love to start that relationship and help you in whatever way we can, servicing your equipment, getting you what you need so you can get out in the field and do what you need to do to supply for your family. So do check that out. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, please do subscribe and also leave a review. If you're on Apple Podcasts or somewhere else, leaving reviews does help us out to, one, know what you're thinking of the podcast, know maybe what you'd like to hear about next. Helps us to improve. We don't think we have a perfect podcast here. We'd always look to improvement. So help us out that way if you would. Also share on your favorite social media platforms. Get the word out that we have this podcast. And specifically this episode, if you know somebody that maybe hasn't heard Plowtalk, maybe doesn't know the deals that Bain-Welker offers, please do share it with them so they can learn a bit about that and start benefiting as well. So thanks for listening, and all you farmers out there, keep on farming. Businessmen, keep on working, and next time we roll around, we'll keep on plowing.